Nvidia's Jansen Huang speaking on AI overseas at the World Government Summit in Dubai, stressing the need for every country to have its own AI infrastructure and countering Sam Altman's $7 trillion fundraising goal for the fast-growing technology.
While we're replacing the install base of general-purpose computing, remember that the performance of the architecture is going to be improving at the same time. So you can't assume just that you will buy more computers. You have to also assume that the computers are going to become faster. And therefore, the total amount that you need is not going to be as much. Otherwise, the mathematics, if you just assume, that computers never get any faster, you might come to the conclusion we need 14 different planets and 3 different galaxies and four more suns and to fuel all this. But obviously, computer architecture continues to advance.
He's really been on this theme of sovereign AI, Jim, the last few weeks.
Well, I think that there is something to be said that you don't want your country to be left behind. You don't want your school system to be left behind. It's just like Jensen's law. According to Moore's law, remember, computer power basically double every 2 years, and then get cheaper. This is kind of what he's saying. He's got, and he's been. My friend Ben Righteous has a great piece today, Melius, about how it is one of those things where the unleashing of the total addressable market by AMD, talking about Lisa Su, talking about how it's a $400 trillion market, made you feel like, well, wait a second, if it's that big, every country does have to have it.
Right. Well, I mean, it also, the hyperscalers, we know the demand there for NVIDIA's H100s, H200s is enormous, but now you've got potentially demand from sovereigns as well, right, to what you just described.
Do you think he was selling?
Yes, he's selling. Absolutely.
Well,
I mean, the UAE, remember, aren't they one of the large owners of Global Foundries, right? Was the old AMD, doesn't
the spin-off, the
Abu Dhabi, yeah, the spin-off from AMD,
right,
the fab.
Right.
They're building their own fabs there.
Well,
I would assume he's selling. And by the way, my understanding now, Jim, and you know more, is we think of data centers still as sort of the hard drives essentially just all in house someplace. But now with Nvidia linking everything together, it's like giving them it's a supercomputer.
Well, that's exactly why ARM doubled. ARM is indeed at the center of them. You need a GPU, and that's NVIDIA, and you need CPUs alongside it, and that's ARM. And I think people didn't understand how close ARM is. I mean, Rene Haas, CEO, worked with Jensen. Jensen tried to buy the company, and if you look at that spike, what that says is people didn't understand the closeness of the relationship, so they got it wrong. And I think in David, I'm going to add what David said because it's really important. There's very small float because SoftBank was locked up.
Yes, there's small float. There was certainly, that was incredible, that 60% one-day move roughly. But back to the overall thesis, though. I mean, so he's selling supercomputers around the world. Right. The idea that you're a sovereign, you need this as well. We know how many fabs are conceivably going to be potentially built.
Well,
I mean, I don't know. Do the inventories of these chips ever get too big, or is it always going to be demand?
I mean, it's the first time I ever thought about it. Look, you always felt that Intel would supply the world. Intel had the x86, and their whole goal was to make it so everybody had a PC, and then they obviously could link them together and make it so there's higher power. But the one thing that I never thought of was that, well, does Lithuania need AI through Jensen? Mexico AI? And I guess, yeah, but a lot of countries aren't rich enough. Countries aren't as rich as Meta. Countries aren't as rich as Microsoft.
They are in the region he's in right now.
Well, that's true. They can be. Oh, so you're saying when he's at a place that can afford it, he's in sales mode?
I think you're in sales mode everywhere. I'll tell you what got attention on Friday was ASML, AMAT, which we'll get this week, CLAC, LRCX, because of Altman, because of the CHIPS Act awards, because of these comments by Jensen.
If I were Denny's, which did not have an ad, I would have had the table where he created,
where he started NVIDIA,
and that's how And then people say, "Oh," because I think people are starting to recognize Jensen. I mean, now look, Walter Isaacson hasn't started the book yet, right?